Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 25th RNCI Red Nation International Film Festival. This is the Indigenous Filmmakers Lounge and the Conversation Series. And our spotlight film this afternoon is Future Ancestor, and our director is Josue Rivas. Yes?
Josue Rivas.
Josue Rivas.
Perfect.
And I know him very well too. And I pronounce my name with a G. I say it with a G and it's spelled with a J. So go figure.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's all good. But you know, we're here to talk about your film. But before we get into that, I'm going to update the audience on our viewers on what's happening on day 25 of a 30-day festival. We have 105 films. It's the holiday week. You could go binge watch all these incredible Indigenous films on rednationff.com. We have 35 films directed by women. We have 73 documentaries. We have 12 student films, 10 experimental films. And November 29th, this Sunday, is our RNCI Red Nation Awards. And we're honoring Graham Greene with the Lifetime Achievement Award, and he'll be there. So get your ticket because it's limited seating. We have a VIP room where we'll be going back and forth with our VIP room attendees, with our hosts and presenters and nominees and winners. It's going to be a fun time. So I encourage you to get a ticket, rednationff.com, and you'll also be able to view it on Facebook on Red Nation Film Festival Native Cinema page. November 30th is our concert series, and it's going to be a huge party fundraiser with Joe Walsh and Jennifer Warrens and Joanne Shenandoah and Hook Herrera, and there's a whole roster of incredible musicians, and we're going to raise a lot of funds to keep Red Nation programs, year-round programs going. So I'll see you there. Now, let's get to our film, our spotlight film, Future Ancestor. And Josue.
You got it.
God, I do not speak Spanish, so this is very hard. Josue. Let's welcome Josue. And I'm so excited to see you. I haven't seen you since when? Since Standing Rock.
2017, yeah, 2017.
Yeah, so it's been a minute. We still have, Josue is a beautiful, gorgeous photographer. And one of his images is on our Red Nation Television Network Facebook page, which is the Hopi dancers, which it was just a beautiful image that you captured. Was like a sacred moment, you know, when they were there at Standing Rock. But I want to get into that a little bit, but I want to first talk about your film, because this is exciting, and I appreciate that you entered it into the festival and that we have you here today. I can read the synopsis, right? But
yeah, go for it.
I'd rather hear it from you. I'd rather you express to our viewers what your film is about.
Yeah, here, let me pull up the synopsis really quick.
Okay.
It's an honor. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. You know, big fan of the festival. And let me see.
You want me to read it? I'll read it.
I can read it, I think.
Okay.
I got it.
But I want to hear it from you. Yeah.
Oh, from my words. Yeah, well,
from your heart.
From my heart. So check it out. So Lila June Johnston, she hit me up on Christmas Day, and she calls me. We're in the middle of having like breakfast, me and my family, and she's like, "Hey, I'm running for office, and I'm gonna be doing this fast to align the motives of this campaign, and to amplify the message for the next generation. So I want you to come and photograph it. I want to get this really iconic photograph. And then I said, first of all, yes, I'm super down. And second, I was like, why don't we make a film about it? And we went about it for a while, and we were like, okay, let's do a film. Let's make something that is more of a 10-minute type of piece. So for me, this film of Lila fasting in front of the state capitol of New Mexico for 7 days, and at the same time running a campaign to run for the House of Representatives there in Santa Fe. To me, the story it's rooted in, it was rooted in understanding the moment that we're living in right now, where a lot of the messages that Lila was talking about within her campaign are very, very relevant, in 2020. But then also thinking about the future. So that's why the film is called Future Ancestor, because it's really projecting something to the future. It's like saying, what if we could speak to our 80-year-old self? What would our 80-year-old self tell us?
Yeah.
So I think that Lila, even though that she did not ended up winning the campaign, there was a lot of like seeds that she planted, and I think she talks about it in the film, where she's talking about how you need to be willing to plant seeds that you never get to see the fruits of those seeds,
Right.
because the recipients will be far in the future. So for me, this film, it was really important to emphasize that, and then also the matriarchal element of her campaign, and the way that she brought this matriarch character, a powerful matriarch character. So it's like, it's seeing that the power of the matriarchs, really, and really how she stood there. She did the ceremony.
Yeah.
She fasted. I was there. I saw her do it. So it was really interesting just to see that in film, and then eventually other people seeing it. It's pretty beautiful.
Well, I really admire her for the fasting, because I really believe in fasting, and I often fast. I fast a lot. Every month I do. But I used to tell everyone, thank God I don't have to do it. But I wanted to. I would tease everyone. I say, I'm going to go fast in front of the networks. Go to each building and fast in front of the networks till they hire us.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God, for 16 years they had taken the Native narrative. They have completely written us off of episodic television for 16 years. Mm-hmm. And that's why in 2018 we launched Why We Wear Red campaign, to get the word out and let the networks know that they need to bring us back, because as Native women, like you didn't see a Native woman on episodic television for 16 years, and before that we were always on in guest star roles and such. And but now we have Irene Bedard and others on episodic television, so that's a good thing. So when June fasted, that and a woman, that was very inspiring. It was really inspiring on so many levels, psychically, intuitively, spiritually, physically, everything, because it put a huge statement out to the world, right, from a Indigenous woman's point of view. Like our Mother Earth already does that. She's already, giving out those messages with earthquakes and tornadoes and all of those messages that she's delivering to us, saying wake up. Mm-hmm. So when she fasted, that was like a wake-up call. Maybe she didn't get in this time. I don't know if she wants to run again, but at least it was an example to the next generation that yes, you can do this if you choose to.
Yeah, I think it's also inspirational to think about like younger Indigenous women who are looking up to people that like Lila June, that that are doing contemporary things, but they're also retaining a lot of their traditions and a lot of their traditional ways of doing things. And for me, when I think about it, it's being there present, documenting this fast, and her being in front of the state capitol. There was like a session happening. Just seeing the interactions of people that probably thinking like, what is this person doing? They're crazy. Like, they're running for office, and they're out here like in the cold weather, like freezing, with a sign that says, think 7 generations ahead. And it really reminded me of, for example, things like what Greta does, like Greta Thunberg, where she stood out there by herself on her little sign, and then she created this global movement. Laila, I think that very firsthand seeing that she was in her prayer, and that, I think, translated to the film well enough, to the point where I hope that like younger people can see that and think, okay, like I can be whatever I want and still bring some of who I am on my culture into this realm that might not be like very very similar to the culture. Like you can be a lawyer, you can be a doctor. Like, why not bring all those things into those realms too? So yeah, I think that the film kind of does that in a lot of ways.
It does. And it leads into, because of the title Future Ancestor, that's kind of like what everyone did at Standing Rock. And you were there at Standing Rock. And I'd love for you to share some of your experience, strength, and hope of what happened for you in regards to being an artist and a content creator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that I'm up until today, I'm still digesting a lot of what the Standing Rock movement meant for me personally, and then also I think on a large scale. I'm a big picture type of personality, so I like to think that we have this collective flow that we're all tapped into, but then also there's that individual. So for the individually, Standing Rock was a new door for me, really, in understanding my role as a storyteller and the impact of long-term storytelling as well. So not just showing up for a weekend and photographing and then getting the typical images, but rather to invest myself into this movement, and to also be extremely open to learning. I think that showing up, for example, to Standing Rock and thinking that you knew something, like you were challenged right away. You were told that there were many different ways of doing some things, and also very specific ways of doing things. So I think that for me as a storyteller, I started watching that, especially because I had been like honored to go to like INIPIs with different peoples that show me protocols and show me like, hey, this is how we do things here. And so when I show up there, I was just applying a lot of that to the way that I photograph. So instead of showing up and just like taking from everybody, you show up with something in your hand. You offer things. You're helpful. You're not trying to extract, but you're trying to understand that there's a collective ceremony happening, and you're part of it. So I think that is one of the main reasons why the work from Standing Rock and my experience in Standing Rock was eye-opening, is because I saw that balance between me as an individual and me part of a collective. Because a lot of the things that happen at Standing Rock will one day will pass away, and what stories are those future generations going to hear? Who's going to be telling the story? Who's going to be shaping the narrative of those stories? And I think that something happened at Standing Rock where we indigenous storytellers were very much at the front, very much invested in the not only being there when there was police, but also when there was when the different communities were coming in. And so it wasn't all just this like, this extractive like conflict, right. But it was rather like a beautiful ceremony.
Right. And for our audience out there, to see Future Ancestor, it's streaming now at our festival at rednationff.com. And this is Josue,
you got it.
Josue, I just have to go to Mexico for like a year and only hear Spanish, and then I know I'll get it.
Yeah. You just gotta be, in LA though. You're in LA, right? I mean, you have.
No, it's not, because everyone speaks English here. I need to be just only hearing Spanish and have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm old. So, you know, it's not like, you know, I could, you know, a whole other language, you know, I'd have to be there for you. Anyway, enough about that. Okay. So you brought up the word inipi. And so some of our audience, they're like, what is he talking about? Is that a Spanish word? Is that a native word? I mean, what is that? So I know what inipi is, but I'd love for you to share what that word means.
Yeah. Well, in my, from, you know, from the folks that invite me to you know, to sweat lodges, to inipi, that's, you know, that's what they call their sweat lodge. And that's as far as I know. And
Yeah.
I only use the word inipi because it's in Lakota, so it's not, you know, it's very much yeah, it's a sweat lodge basically.
It's a sweat lodge. Yes, it's a ceremony. It's a sweat lodge, and it's where we pray.
Yeah, and then, you know, my tribe has you know, the Temescali, which is a very similar sweat lodge, but it's more of a Mexica style.
And what's that?
But it's
Is
a
that in the earth? Is that what? Because I've been to one where for it was a woman's ceremony for when we're on our moon, and it was under the ground.
Oh wow, that
Wet, under the ground, in the ground.
that's amazing.
Oh my God, it was so beautiful. Oh, it
Yeah.
was so amazing to be in the earth, in a nipi, but in the earth, down in the earth,
Yeah, you're like in the earth. Yeah, yeah.
in the earth.
Like a little cave in the earth.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's also interesting because there's a big part of me that what I've learned in the last 4 years when it comes to the story about Standing Rock, and even talking about, like, you know, like things relating to the people from there, which are, you know, different, you know, Dakota and Lakota folks. I think that for me, if there was one thing that I learned, is that listening to the people that are from there is the most important part of a movement. And I think that has stayed with me, and it evolved into understanding your role as a storyteller. So sometimes, you know, there's people that are like, oh, I come from New York, you know, New York Times, I'm here with my crew to tell your story. And you're like, wait, hold on, like, maybe I don't want to tell you my story.
Yeah.
And I think what I learned is that when you come with, hey, we have this really amazing equipment, let's do something together, let's tell a story together, then that creates a different element of the final product or the final piece. But then also, it's by listening to those peoples from those places. And I do acknowledge that I'm not from, you know what I mean, like, ideally, like, I would like to have like somebody, for example, like with Laila, she's Diné and Cheyenne, like a Diné person making the story about her. But, you know, there was nobody that was doing that. So,
Well,
you
she
know,
called you.
but she called me. And so
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's an interesting conversation, because I've seen that more and more, where collaborations, especially healthy collaborations, are
Yeah.
becoming part of this new, you know, new styles of even storytelling, you know, where
Right.
especially as we're doing this you know, Zoom thing, like pretty soon we're all gonna be seeing films that are like, you know,
Yeah.
like in this kind of format, you know, and it's gonna be normal in like 10 years or something. I
Right.
don't know.
Right. Hopefully, well, not. I hope not.
Yeah, so yeah, I hope not
You
either.
never know.
Yeah, but yeah. So what do you think of the film? What was your
Well, I just think, you know, you know, when the subject matter calls on a director, right? And that collaboration happens is really powerful. And to film, to tell the story of her journey running as a Native woman, and that whole thing of fasting and everything, and the process of all that, is really one of the most important things we can do, because film has the power to bring us all together.
Mhm.
And film has that magic where it's there. It's there forever. It's like, you know, we could be in person and have a conversation, or, you know, she's out there and she's fasting and someone could come up to her and have a conversation, and then that conversation is not documented. So this is our way of, through film media, of our storytelling, because we didn't have this way, you know, thousands of years ago. You know, we had it where we wrote on the stones. You know, we told our stories on the stones, so that, you know, one nation comes into that territory and they could see the message on the stone. You know, that was the way to, or it's oral, and that's how it's been passed down. But, you know, the power of film is incredible, because it's something that that our future generations will have and can visit. And, like, I'll give you an example. I'm going to get to your question though, but I'm going to give you an example. Is there was this grandma. She was the peyote grandma from Mexico. She's a very, very famous, very magic woman. I was able to meet with her several times. I have one of her paintings, one of her art pieces in my room. And I wish I could go run there and get it and bring it to you. I'll show you another time. But I was trying to raise the money to go to Mexico. This was in the 90s, because she said I could film her life story. She was going to give it to me. She was handing it over to me. She was already like almost 100 years old, and she was handing it over to me. And I couldn't, no one would help fund it. And I don't speak Spanish, so I would have to bring someone with me, and it was a whole thing. And I really didn't have the money. It's not like I could get a camera and just go there, you know, because I don't speak Spanish. So it was, and she passed away. So that story is gone. That story's gone. That knowledge, her wisdom, you know, I went in ceremony with her. She was very powerful woman. And it's gone. So for you as a storyteller to capture this moment in time, where it is very revolutionary, it is very auspicious, this time where our Native women are stepping up, and we're speaking out, and we're owning and standing in our own power today, you know, and it's powerful. And so for her to ask you, well, but I get why she called you. I mean, because you're really an incredible storyteller, and what you capture is it's very sensitive, the way that you capture the story. And that's very important in regards to capturing that story, who happens to be a woman subject matter. So
no, I mean, there's nuances there too on this. Like, for example, you know, my wife produced this piece. My wife, Dorte Arroyo, she produced it with me, and you know, her and I we've supported other relatives in their ceremonies, you know, so we understand what isn't. We weren't just going there as like, oh, we're gonna make this documentary. It was more like, no, we're there to support our relative, and in the process honoring and almost documenting this very important part of her life. But at the forefront is, you know, if you need water because you're like getting dehydrated, like, well, we're gonna go run and do that, you know, like and I feel like now that you're saying that, it makes sense that why Lila, you know, probably called me. And at the same time, there was a big part of the film that for example talked about her 7-point plan. I don't know if you saw that at the very end, but she laid out this, you know, 7 generations like New Deal that is still is up online, and that people can resource to, right? And I think that's there was, like, again, that matriarchal energy, the matriarchal like intent through the ceremony and through the linear stuff. It was very much like in alignment.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely. What was?
but go ahead. Sorry.
No.
No, you ask.
Now, I was going to ask you, what was your like aha moment while you were filming, like, or maybe aha or funny or challenging or like, aha
Mhm.
moment for you?
Mhm. I think it was the editing process, the post production.
Ah,
So when we came back home after that was in January. Came back home. I had to head out to do a couple projects, and then I came back and had all this footage. It was early March. It was the last week of February, and then the pandemic happened. That and then literally this editing this film became my it was the way that I stayed like mentally stable in the sense of like like my mental health was like balanced by editing this film because
exactly.
I will wake up every morning at 6 a.m. I will smudge my room, smudge my editing like tools, and then like set a very good intention of like you know despite the fact that there's a lot of crazy out there right now because of this
Right.
pandemic, I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna make something that can resonate through time, and I feel like I did, and I feel like it was like every day, and then it came to a point where like it was 3/4 into the editing, and then there's this part in the beginning where she talks about very openly about sexual abuse, and I was taught that like that she was taught that like her body belonged to other people, and I remember waking up one morning and just going through the edit and hearing that, and it hit me, and it was like this work is much more than just a political campaign. Like she's pushing for truth and in all its forms, and I think that that's where I realized, okay, I can finish this. I got this, and I just pushed through, another month, and we got to finish.
Yeah. How did you go about getting the funding for it?
It was basically a donation through Come to Life, which was it's like a media company. They paid for accommodations and food and stuff like that. And then Lila ended up paying for the post production of it. But it was it was very small, and again, even just looking back, just like the tiny budget that we had, and we ended up with a very good product. I feel like the a 10-minute piece was solid, and it felt very much of a reflection of what I wanted to share. And it wasn't in black and white. Usually my work is in black and white, and we were gonna do it in black and white, and then we decided not to because there was just a lot of beauty in the moment, in the time there in Santa Fe. Just a lot of the landscape was very vibrant, so we wanted to just to add that into the story, into the narrative. But usually my work is strictly black and white.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me see. You hopefully and will be there for the award ceremony. This film, Future Ancestor, is nominated, and the award ceremony is November 29th from 5 to 7. And you could get a ticket at rednationff.com. It's going to be a VIP room for people to engage and have celebratory time while we're announcing the nominees and the winners.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to chat, and yeah, I look forward to see who gets to be honored on with the first place situation on Sunday.
Well, it's like this. Everyone's a winner,
Mhm.
and it's I love award ceremonies. It's something personally since I was a little girl. So since I was 3, so I absolutely love award ceremonies. It's very exciting, and this is this is what the winner gets.
That's beautiful. Who designed
And,
it?
okay, so I'll tell you a quick story, and then we'll wrap it up. We used to have our award ceremony just online, right? And we used to just give a drum, an honor drum, a Red Nation honor drum to, on different categories. But We used to just for the actual like best picture and all that. We used to just have it online, and then in 2009, I called Summit Entertainment. I've never met these guys. Someday I hope I'll meet them, but they changed my whole world. I called them because they had the New Dawn Twilight Saga, right? So I wanted to have the first red carpet for our native peoples, because and I got tired of waiting to be invited to all the red carpets. So I said, I'm just going to create our own red carpet for us. Mm-hmm. Now there's red carpets everywhere, which that was the intent. But anyway, so in 2009, I had the red carpet. I wanted all the wolf clan from the Twilight to be on the red carpet. And I called Summit and I said, this is my idea. They don't know me. I don't know them. I called out of the blue. And I said, but I'd like to screen the Twilight Saga, New Dawn, before your premiere. It's like, who does that? I do that. And they said, immediately, they said yes. Immediately. Oh, wow. So we had it at Raleigh Studios. All the Wolfpack came. They had the red carpet. And what the Summit Entertainment guys told me is, they asked me, they said, how do you do your award ceremony? I said, oh, we put it up online, and, you know, I was real proud of that. And they go, well, why don't you have an award? And I said, because it's like to raise money. It has to be the right thing. It has to, you know, I don't want it to be something, you know, I want it to be right. And they said, Janelle, just do it. Just do it. And the funding will show up. Just do it. And I said, okay. So I called my brother, Philip Jesus, and his dad is Alan Hauser, Apache artist, and very renowned Apache artist. And I said, I want a female award. And this is what he designed for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I love her.
Yeah, that's really nice to know that it was a native artist that made that.
Oh, only. Yeah, it couldn't be anything else. And so, yeah, so that's how it came about.
Perfect. Well, let's see what happens on Sunday.
Well, good luck. And I'm not the one that votes, so.
No worries. You know what's interesting, because like we were actually, you know, it was a process for us to put this film on festivals. We were not gonna do that. This out of that wasn't a conversation. And then now that, because really the intention, I think that it's like for folks to go to, you know, to the 7 Generations New Deal and learn a lot about what that is, because I really think that's the importance of this film and why we made it, because we want people to remember that, like, we are all, you know, future ancestors, and there's so much responsibility that we have to shape that future. So you know, it'll be all good.
Yeah. So suggestion, T-shirt, future ancestor.
Yes, that would be a beautiful. I don't know if you can see right there. There's that guy right there. That's I am a future ancestor. It's the piece of artwork that I did for the voting campaign. But yeah, you know, it's and then I think the future ancestor as a whole, as a conversation, is gonna be very mainstream, like I think in the next few years. So, so I encourage you to make a T-shirt, future ancestor. That's it. Just real simple. Simple stuff. Ancestor. Just right there.
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you. And all of you out there viewing this right now, you could see Future Ancestor at rednationff.com. It's streaming right now, and binge watch this film and tell all your friends. And there's 105 films also to watch. And, you know, we also extend to you as a filmmaker, once you go through the festival circuit and you get distribution or you don't get distribution, whatever it is, at the end of that cycle, you're always encouraged to submit and have it stream on our television network, Red Nation Television Network. Just FYI. Okay, I'll see you on Sunday, Jose.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you Sunday.
Okay, it's good to see you.
Good
Thank
to
you
see
for
you.
joining.
Take care.
Okay, bye everyone.